I'd like to talk about addiction and bad habits.
Good.
Yeah. I smoke cigarettes, and I would like
Stop it. What else?
not do that.
So your question is?
I don't know why I do it. There are times where I feel like, oh, I'm enjoying this, but majority of the time I don't. It's just...
Well, there's something bigger to talk about than the specifics of that action. Because that action is an impulse, and an impulse has momentum behind it. So the question that is really worth identifying is it, what influence am I under when I feel that impulse? The other day we were having a conversation with someone about food. Let's just go there just for a moment. And we wanted this person to understand that when you've practiced being in alignment with who you are, which means you feel pretty good most of the time. You go from satisfied to feeling really satisfied to happy and lighthearted, and you might occasionally dip into some negative emotion, but you don't stay there very long. You have control of the way you feel because you've practiced the way you're thinking. And so we said to this person that sometimes you can be in complete alignment with who you are and have an impulse to eat something that's on your list of things not to eat, because your inner being is responsive to the trillions of cells in your body. Now, this is a statement we make to you often. This is a basis of what's coming next. So just hear this strong statement. Your inner being knows where you stand in relationship with everything that you want. Did you hear that? Your inner being knows what the path of least resistance is for you to move from where you are to everything that you want. Big statement. Did you hear it? Which means your inner being, who is also aware of the trillions of cells in your body, knows the path of least resistance for every one of those cells to get to where they want to be, these pure positive energy consciousnesses that are your cells. But this is the big statement. Your inner being knows where you stand, what's around you in relationship with what you want. So your inner being has the ability to help you to gather the cooperative components from where you are to help you get to where you want to be. Are you following this, and do you sort of kind of believe it? Let's say that you are in an environment where you have access to this much substance that we are calling food, and that your cells are asking for something. Now, in this vortex, you want energy, you want clarity, you want vitality. There are all kinds of things that you want that are all dovetailing together, and the cells of your body are already cooperative components. And so let's say that the cells of your body are requesting something that they need in order to operate at top performance. And what they need in order to operate at top performance is available in your pantry or in this restaurant or in your vicinity, and is known by your inner being to be contained in that particular Snickers bar, which is on your don't eat list. There are all kinds of things that you've made the decision that you're not going to do, that if you were really in sync with your inner being would give you an impulse toward it. Did you follow that? Can you accept it a little bit? Humans make these decisions, and we are sure that as these impulses are occurring to you about a variety of different things, sometimes you have an impulse for some vegetables and some fruits or more liquids. There's a lot of things, but in many, many cases, the impulse that you have, which is coming from inspiration directly from your inner being, is in somebody's book that says don't eat it. So what we're getting at is you sort of kind of have to decide that you're going to be a little less human as you follow these impulses. Now, on a subject like smoking, almost no one these days can put that in a category that my inner being inspired me to smoke. But what if your inner being inspired you to be alone? Smoking will get that done. What if you wanted some alone time? How many people actually carve time out of their day to go off by themselves and sit and contemplate who aren't smoking? We're just saying it isn't all bad. In other words, some of the intentions that you hold, what if that were some of the impetus behind some of those impulses? What we are really saying to you is, don't be so ready to call yourself doing the wrong thing, and be more ready to call yourself wanting to be inspired to doing something that is of advantage to you, because we know this for sure. Every single person who has decided that they're not going to do something does it more. Because when you focus upon it, it becomes more active. And so we would step back. This is a situation where, as our friend was just asking, whether to be more specific or more general, this is a situation where we would be more general. Rather than saying, do I want to smoke or not? We would step back into a more general place. What is it that I really want? I want vitality. I want good feeling body. I want living happily ever after. Speak in more general terms. And eventually, once you isolate how you really want to feel, the impulse that will get you there will be strong within you. Something that's really difficult for humans is that you have vibrational things going on. You know, earlier when we were talking about what are cooperative components to worry, or what's a cooperative component to overwhelmment, smoking is a cooperative component to overwhelming. Smoking is a cooperative component to stress, isn't it? And couldn't it be well-meaning? So go forth and smoke. That's not what we're saying, is it? That's not what we're saying. But what we are saying is, don't do something and feel bad about it. That's what we're saying. When you do something and feel bad about it, it's the feeling bad about it that is your indication that you're not connected to your inner being. And your inner being will not leave you because you're smoking. You will not deprive yourself of your inner being because of this action that you're taking. But you will deprive yourself of your inner being because of your self-condemnation over this action that you're taking, because your inner being will not condemn you. And when you do, you cause separation. And it's separation from who you are that is destructive to your experience, not the activity. So people who gather statistics say, but these things seem to go together. Well, they go together for a reason. In other words, they go together because people who usually feel like that have enough resistance that they're pinching off their replenishing mode. You heard some stuff. Now you want to talk?
Yeah, I mean,
what we're saying to you is, it's not the action that we want you to address. It's the way you feel behind the action. And more, as you find more moments in time to feel satisfied, you may very well find your impulses shifting. But until you have isolated for yourself what satisfaction is, you won't know for sure what impulses are coming from being under the influence of your inner being, or what impulses are coming from being under the influence of something else. And you kind of got to figure that out. So we don't want you to address the behavior. We want you to address what influence you're under, and then the rest is easy. Make sense?
Yeah.
A lot of people just want somebody to tell them, do that and don't do that. Or at least that's what you say. Till somebody like your mother tells you don't do that, and you say, you're not the boss of me. You really don't want somebody else defining for you. And we want you to know you've already defined it, and your inner being knows the path for you to have everything that you want.
Yeah, that makes sense. Feeling the condemnation has made it worse.
Addiction is twofold. It's the vibrational attraction, but there's another thing. When you introduce something to your body, to these trillions of cells, you know what they are? They are so wonderful, incredible, amazing, adaptive, flexible. They adjust. They make the best of everything you give them. Be more like them. They do. They make the best of everything you give them, which means they compensate. They find their resources and they continue to thrive. And that compensation that they do when you introduce something that may be foreign to them, or maybe even not in their best interest, let's even go that far, their adaptation translates to you like a craving, because they adjust and get a little momentum going in order to adapt to what you've offered them. We want to say to you, your evolution is a lot about things in your environment that you would deem not good for you, that you can't do anything about. So aren't you pretty darn happy that your cells have the ability to adapt to them? Did you hear what we said? In this ever-changing environment, aren't you glad that you're adaptive? Do you really want your cells to be so incapable of adaptation that you don't experience any evolution or any change? We don't think that's what you want. So let's bless the adapting tendencies that you have and understand it, and give yourself some leeway with it, and in doing so feel less vulnerable. Your amazing cells make you less vulnerable. So Your cells aren't judging you. Your inner being isn't judging you, isn't calling something inappropriate. You know who is? Other humans who are humaning, who are not looking at the big picture, who are not under the influence of their inner being, you see. So there's a whole lot of people who are being judged by others and controlled by others, who are trying to find the guidance of the fickle others, and we love them all so much. But have you ever tried to stand on your head to please one of them, and as soon as you think you've got it down, then they change their mind about what they want from you? It's crazy making. Your inner being is consistent and loving you and wanting the best for you, and the best for you is the most likely for you. And so if you can just relax and be easier about things, then everything gets easier. Yeah? You hear it all? You have more you want to talk about? Do you believe us? Are you feeling relief? Is that what that's about? Is that relief? Are you releasing resistance? Yes?
I feel like I can love myself even though
you're so terrible? Your cells said, she's smoking, let's adapt. They could have said, she's smoking, let's just die now. Let's teach her a lesson. Everyone cease to be at the same moment. It's not like that, is it? So?
What is something I can do maybe in that moment where I'm like, because I feel like it can sometimes be a battle where I'm like, oh, I want that. Like I said, sometimes I enjoy the moment, and then other times
what we want you to understand that you're saying to us, you're talking about so many moments in time with so many people on subjects that aren't as specific as whether to smoke or not to smoke. Almost everyone is saying one thing with their words and doing another thing with their vibration. And we're just asking you what you're doing with your vibration when you're mad at yourself. Would you be better off, vibrationally speaking, to go with the flow of it for right now, because it's the impulse that you have, while you make a decision that you'll find your way to greater health? What's the path of least resistance? To stop and feel strain, or to flow with it for now? We're just asking you not to be at the top of the hill, release the brake, release the gears, and have shoved the car forward, and while it's about halfway down the hill, decide that you're going to stand out in front of it and stop smoking. You're not. It's going to mow you over. So you got to put yourself in the position of winning what you want.
Stop trying so hard.
Stop trying to please everybody else. In all of this discussion, there's a lot of thoughts in the air about it. In all of this discussion, can you step back from the specific subject of drugs or smoking or any of these vices that you have all defined? Can you step back from those specifics into a more general discussion and tell us, what is this really about? What is it that you desire? In other words, you think you desire to stop smoking, but what is it that you really desire?
I want to feel more comfortable with myself.
Ease, not dis-ease. What is it that you want? What else? Well-being. You want well-being. You want longevity. You want vitality. You want all of those things. Your vortex is full of all of those. And so we're just asking you this question. All of these things that you want, has your world made you believe that all of these things that you want, like longevity and clarity and thriving, are they all thwarted by this act of smoking? Is that what you believe? Because if that's what you believe, you better not smoke, because you put yourself in strong contradiction. It's the push and pull of you. It's the deciding that you want that, but believing. This is the way we began this discussion today. When you want something and you don't believe that you can have it, something's got to give. Either you've got to accept a greater attraction power, or you've got to cease doing the things that you think are in the way. You hear that? So now let's go back to our earlier discussion. Do you think it's your job to get all resistant factors out of the way? Is it necessary to get all resistant factors out of the way? Or could you just get enough momentum going that resistant factors don't play a part in it? Could you believe so much in well-being that you would just thrive? That you could move to Los Angeles with that air they're breathing there, and you could thrive? What are you going to do? You're going to go to Los Angeles and not thrive because the air is worse than smoking there? That air is worse than smoking, but there are people there thriving. How's that possible? Shouldn't you be not thriving under those conditions? Or is your thriving about something other than the condition? Is your thriving or not thriving about your response to the condition, not about the condition? You see, there are people who don't thrive under the best of conditions, and there are those who thrive under the worst of conditions. It's not the conditions, it's your response to it. And we're not trying to talk you into smoking. We're trying to talk you into not feeling bad about anything you're doing. We're trying to talk you into accepting your goodness and your worthiness